Okay, today is our last session, and you know, since last September we've been doing the Gita. We finally finished the Bhagavad Gita after 9 months. But each session was different because each session, when we study this scripture, gives us something we need. And this is the amazing thing about this scripture. So today's session is all on questions and answers. So I'll start with one of the questions I received. The question is, Arjuna is told it is his duty to fight even though he doesn't want to. Sometimes I feel I should not fight, as I can see it is not worth it. When in a real life situation, would it be the right time to fight versus keeping quiet on issues? Wow, that's a really, really good question. Okay, I asked myself that question for many, many years. When is it a good time to fight and when is the time not to fight? I always say when it's little small things to do with the material world, when it's things that really are so insignificant, they're not really important. If somebody wants to, for example, wants to hurt you, you don't want to have revenge or fight back. In the sense that, you know, you get people who call you stupid or awful or whatever. It hurts. It really hurts. And Sri Patanjali says for this one, as I was telling you today, accepting pain for purification. Because when you fight fire with fire, it burns. Okay? So for little things that are personal ego gets destroyed, don't fight. There's a whole teaching on how to deal with your own ego, right? So it's a really powerful question. However, when it is a cause of righteousness that has come to you that have severe consequences, for example, not only for you, but everybody around you. For example, just give you a simple example. Somebody in your family comes in and destroys the joy and peace of every single person in your family. And you know better. You know how to deal with it. You have the yoga knowledge. Now it's not about you anymore. You don't want to fight. You really don't want to fight because you understand it's all the divine play. I don't want to fight. But you're the only one in the family can do it, because the rest of the family are too weak and the whole family is falling apart. What should you do? That's when you take up your strength for the help, for the benefit of those involved. It's not personal. It's for all those, because you know if you don't stand up and you're the strongest one there, why are you the strongest one there? Because that's your gift. That's your gift. You understand this knowledge. The others don't. So you look at it as if you're looking at a movie. Okay, so this is the part I've been given. I really don't want to fight. But by me fighting, and now how should you fight? Because when we use the word fight, we think about using weapons or hurting somebody. Sometimes the way to fight is with love. But you cannot stay still and do nothing. Sometimes my father used to say to me, you can't just sit back and do nothing and be afraid. You have to grow in your power of love. And with that love, you battle. Because sometimes even that love is hard to build up when one person in your family is creating so much havoc. You cannot build up the love. You don't feel it. But to build up that love in you and say, I'm fighting for the benefit of everyone. This person is just my teacher, teaching me to be brave and not a coward, because I was given the job. And that's how you fight. You fight in love. If you cannot fight in love, if you fight in anger, which is what the whole Bhagavad Gita is, you cannot fight in anger. It doesn't work. The whole Bhagavad Gita is teaching Lord Krishna is teaching Arjuna to raise himself to his highest spiritual knowledge. And because he wants to save, he has to save the people. Because if he doesn't, who will? Who will? Who will teach the people what's right? And that's what the battle is. So, if you can fight with love, and if you can bring that love in your heart, even though it may look on the outside that you're fighting with anger. Now we go into a second thing. See, the teaching is very, very, very deep. It's not simple. Our master used to say, we're given anger for a reason, because sometimes in anger you move people. They get to move. If you keep quiet, they don't move. But have anger in your pocket. What does that mean? It means you are in control of it. You know how when people get angry, they go, and have no control of it? Anger is, this is not acceptable. You look angry, you make people scared of it, but you're not really angry inside. Really inside, you're doing it for love, for the benefit of that person. They may not see it that way because they're not elevated like you, but you are in a position of love and truth. Now, this is really hard to do unless you develop yourself for many, many years, and this is the whole yoga practice. That's why we're so impatient with ourselves. We want to achieve everything overnight. Look, the whole Gita, 18 chapters to show Arjuna that we have to work with ourselves first before we go into battle. So this is a really incredible question. When do you fight and when you don't fight? In simple everyday matters, I would say, if it's a small thing, don't bother. If it is your spiritual peace, your peace you need to protect, then sometimes you have to fight. But how is the fight? By renouncing. Remember chapter 18 of the Gita talked about the yoga of freedom through renunciation. What do you mean? I'm not going to get attached to this situation. This is my job. I have to do it. Done. I'm going to do it with as much love as possible. But I'm not going to get attached to it. What does it mean by attachment? Attachments you keep in your head all the time. But why? But if? But why? I don't want. But if. That's attachment. Okay? If you keep bringing up but if, you don't understand, you're still attached. You have to learn to let go. How do you let go? Really difficult. My master said the easiest way is attached to the highest, detached from everything else. And that's what Lord Krishna says in the whole of the Bhagavad Gita. Attached to me. So you say, but I don't know who Krishna is and I can't feel that connection. And the Upanishads tells you again and again, what is the connection? Love. Where do you feel it again and again? Here. Can anybody do it for you? No. So you really have to start to love yourself. So this question, thank you whoever sent it, is so loaded that we could spend like 10 hours, if not a whole lifetime, answering it. Because what we have to know first and foremost is ourselves. What is my nature? Is my nature, am I a coward? So sometimes a war comes to you because you're a coward and you need to step up. Is my nature aggressive? If my nature is aggressive, then I need to keep quiet. And the way this person has written this question is, in her case, I would say, you prefer not to fight. It doesn't sound like it's worth fighting from the way you have asked the question. So my answer to you would be, if you don't want to be bothered and you're not bothered about not being bothered, you are totally renounced, so don't bother. It means like you don't need to do this. It's not your job, it's somebody else's job. So, because if it was your job, you'll be agitated all the time. You wouldn't feel, as she asked in the question, I really don't want to do this. I mean, I don't find it's going to help, then don't. See, that's your answer. If you learn to listen to yourself, again and again, listen to what your soul's telling you. The world will tell you everything else. Yes, you should. Yes, you shouldn't. Like I see so many marriages, right? And maybe the couple comes to me And one of them would say, yeah, my friend said I shouldn't take this, da 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 da, I should leave. And I said, but look at your friend's partner and look at your partner. Two totally different people. Of course your friend will ask you to leave because her partner is aggressive, gambler, insults you. Your partner isn't like that at all. You're just going through a bad time. Happens in life. All relationship has phases. There are going to be phases in your relationship where you're not going to like somebody. It'll pass. But it's a good person, and that person doesn't want to hurt you purposely. So don't listen to everybody else. And if you do, listen, where are you getting the advice from? Watch. So it's about a partner. Do you have a partner that is as nice as mine? You know, or as aggressive as mine? So some people are also told to stay when they have a very aggressive partner. Oh, you should stay, you should do the best of it. But what they don't know is that aggressive partner is killing this person daily. They're losing themselves. They have no peace, they have no connection with the spirit, they have no connection with God. There is no love in their life. Neither do they have a good life on this earth, neither do they have connection with the spirit. So what is left for them? They've wasted a human life, a whole human life. Not finding peace. Make peace your God. And that's the secret. Make peace your God. Know who you are. And right in the beginning of the Gita, when Arjuna says, oh, I don't want to fight, my knees are shaking, my hand, my head, I'm perspiring, all that, Lord Krishna tells him, hey, 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 know who you are. Know who you are. Who are you? You're the self. Know that weapons cannot kill your body. Wind cannot dry it. Fire cannot burn who you are. You are spirit. And just as a man cast off worn out garments, so does the soul leave the body. So what he's trying to say is, don't get so attached to this body, to this mind, to this. This is not who you are. So this is your part in the play. That's all. So just attend to the part. But remember who you are. You're much more than this part. You're much more. This is just your play in life. Sorry, you've been chosen as the warrior, whether you liked it or not. You know, I could say, sorry, I've been chosen as a yoga teacher, whether I like it or not. Do you know what I'm saying? That was my part. You know, in the beginning, I often say I never wanted to teach. It wasn't I never thought this was what I was going to do with my life. You know, I was a dance teacher, I was working in fashion, and I wanted to be an art therapist. Very simple. And then my master goes, after 5 years of meditation on my own, Nalanie, I'm going to teach. I'm going to teach 1 year. No good at it. Never. Never. Until one day I did. Until one day I did. And I never stopped. And I never looked back because I didn't know. I thought something else was me. And then when you study all these things, you realize, my God, this is really where my path was. I'm glad I followed it. I tried to resist it. I tried to fight it. And I'll tell you one thing, 8 years after I started teaching, I remember I go, I really don't want this responsibility. I really, you know, I'm giving it, I don't know more. I taught everybody I needed to teach. I don't know anything else. So that day I decided to tell the yoga center, now that I've taught them everything, they can run it like they want to, and they didn't need me anymore. And I'll never forget that day. I have been saying for 8 years, and as I continue to say, as the mind, so the, you all tell me, do you know? So the man. As you think,
you become.
So watch your thoughts again and again and again. And this girl who had been with me for 8 years, coming every single Tuesday and Wednesday, said to me that evening when I thought, this is it, I'm done. Oh, Nalanie, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I go, what have I done? And she said, you said something I never heard before. So I said, what did I say? She said, as we think, we become. So I know why I'm an angry person now, because I have angry thoughts. And I thought, do you know what? I've been saying it for 8 years. But she didn't hear it. And that's when I decided to stay and teach every Wednesday, nearly 30 years now. Right? So, because it sometimes takes time. Like if you're listening to me now, over here, you'll hear only a section of what I've said today. Because the rest of your time, your mind is processing in your own life, your own situation. Like on that question, oh, is there a war that I have to fight? So you've lost like 3/4 of my answer. Do you see what I'm saying? So of course, next time when you've already sorted out that situation and you're in another situation, you will catch something else of what I'm saying because you didn't hear it that time. And that's how it works. That's how energy works, because it's a process. We need to move slowly and understand that it takes time. Some people get it right away. Some people take time. Okay? So this is just showing sometimes you resist something that you shouldn't resist. You should allow it to happen. And this is the non-attachment. I resisted teaching. She resists speaking in public. So what have I done with Sam? Speak in public, train yourself. Because as long as you resist it, you will never be free to be who you are. Because there's the fear, the blockage that will stop you. Now, it is a brave person who will say, it's the worst thing for me, but I'm going to do it, right? And you face your fear and do it anyway. And you do it, and you do it again, and again, and again, and again. One day, you just come here and you go, I don't need to even think about it. Do you see? It's training our mind. So this is, again, training our spirit. Because when we know we are spirit, and how do you train your spirit? Is reading these, Sri Patanjali tells us, Swadhyaya, study of spiritual books. How do you train your spirit? Yama niyama, non-violence, truthfulness, non-greed. That's how you train your spirit. Be kind, be good. This is how you train your spirit. Now, when you do anything that upsets your spirit, what takes away your peace, why? Because either you're jealous or you're angry or you're fearful. That takes away your peace. No, it's you that's taking away your peace. So train yourself. When you're in fear, remember the bear story, right? And I'll tell it again, the bear story that my granddaughter told my other granddaughter.
There is a lovely story about a bear wanting to go through a forest, and he doesn't want to go through because he's so scared and he's so frightened of the pain that he just stays there and he's stuck. And along comes a friend and says, you know what? If you want the honey on the other side, you cannot go over it. You cannot go under it. You have to go through it. So how much do you want that peace and acceptance? So the bear thought about the honey on the other side. That gave him the inspiration. Thought about the peace on the other side. That gave him the inspiration. So the acceptance was, I'm going to go through this forest. And as he goes through the forest, he's cut and he's hurt and he's miserable and he's full of pain. But he keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. And then when he comes through the forest on the other side, there is the honey, there is the peace, there is the joy again, and laughter comes back into his life. So too, we have dark periods in our lives. All of us do. We cannot escape that. But acceptance helps us to get through it. One of my favorite prayers is, Lord, grant me the tranquility to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Okay, so this is what you have to see, that picture. When you're going through a dark space in your life, know there is light. After the rain, without the rain, you don't have rainbows. So always think in your mind when you're going through a dark period, whenever I go, like I often talk about this. When my husband died, it was so black. And after years of practice, I didn't expect my head to be so black because I was in so much pain. And I just thought, in 3 months I'll get a little better. In 6 months I'll be. The worst time is this first year. Once I get through anniversaries, birthdays, granddaughter's birthdays, Christmas, by next year I'll be well. I'll be well. So what was my thought? I will be well. And then I used to watch Friends in the evening to make me laugh. I am well while I'm laughing. I can laugh. I'm not that bad. Do you see? I'm not that bad. I'm really not that bad. Oh, thank you for Friends. Do you know, then everything becomes God. Then everything helps you. It doesn't matter what it is. Everything is divine. Because why? It takes you to the place of connection to your higher self. And that's what Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna throughout this. Know your consciousness, you're divine, you come from that awareness, you come from that divinity. You are just having a human experience. Remember that constantly, constantly, constantly. That is the meaning of yoga. What is the meaning of yoga? To unite with what? Your higher self. Call it God, call it whatever you want, choose a name. It's very difficult for the mind to understand the divine as consciousness. This is why the different traditions came in. That's why we worship Jesus or Shiva or Ganesh or Buddha or Swami Satchidananda. It's because that energy, we find it difficult to connect. So we need something to connect. Can I reconnect, please? So you use an instrument on the outside, an object on the outside first. In this case, Arjuna was using Lord Krishna, an object on the outside that he could relate to. And then, once you understand all the teachings become your light and become God. But they're in you. The teachings become God. And you give it the word God or consciousness. Whatever you want to call it. And then and how do you know? When you start to love even the painful moments, then you know you're getting there. When you start to love even the painful moments, you don't have to like them, but you love them because you know you're learning from them. Something is happening to your consciousness. This is sent to you to teach you to go beyond it, to go through that dark forest without fear. No block. I'm not blocking myself. I'm allowing the tears. I'm allowing the fears. I'm allowing it. I'm facing them. And that's how you go into battle. Okay, so that's a long answer.